This has Warriors fans very concerned. Folks, opening week of the 2025 NBA season has officially concluded, and we have so much to talk about. The good, the bad, and the ugly. My name's Houston Bo. You guys are watching Warriors Digest, and we will break all of that down right here in this video on Warriors Digest. And before we do, I want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button. It's the easiest way for you guys to stay up to date on all things Warriors news, and also the easiest way for you guys to support the channel. Hit the subscribe button, go down below, ring the bell to turn on notifications. We've had a bunch of subscribers over the last couple of weeks kicking off this NBA season. Bunch of comments over the last couple of videos. Most of them talking about the rotations, the small ball lineups, and Steve Kerr. Understanding, I know there are major concerns, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. First things first, I want to talk about the Warriors' major concerns through the first three games. Now, if you're a glass half full type of guy, don't worry. We'll break down a bunch of positives through the first three games of the year because I do think there are more positives than negatives. We said through the first 5 games of the year we want to be 3-2 or 4-1. We have set ourselves up after getting 2 big wins against the Lakers and Nuggets to now either be 3-2 or 4-1. Now, we got unlucky again from the league because we have 3 back-to-backs in the first 10 games of the season. That is incredibly unlucky. There are a lot of teams that won't even play a single back-to-back through the first 10 games of the season. So it's very unfortunate, especially with the age of the team. But I do believe that we've set ourselves up with the potential to be a 3-1 team, a 4-1 team through the first 5 games of the year. Memphis Grizzlies tomorrow night on Monday, and then the Clippers on Tuesday. But we'll get into all those positives in a second. First things first, I want to talk about the major concerns. All of them listed right there, but we'll start from the top. We'll go down to the bottom. The first, one of the most major concerns I have, everyone honestly on the roster has looked pretty solid in their role to kick off the year. Steph Curry, Jonathan Kuminga, Al Horford, all those guys have looked great. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Brandin Podziemski has been one guy in particular that hasn't looked like the guy we've wanted him to be. Now, before we get deep into talking about pods and bashing on him and all that stuff, I am a believer in Brandin Podziemski. There have been moments where we have seen Brandin Podziemski be a very talented role player for this team. Now, I think that because there's been so many headlines of like Brandon saying, hey, I want to be a better player than Steph Curry. I want the keys to the franchise to be handed to me. The expectation for his play is probably at a level above where it should be for the type of player that he is in his 3rd season now at this point. Brandin Podziemski is a solid role player. He can be a starter at times or a good point guard off the bench. He can knock down the 3 every once in a while. He's working on his attacking. That slow Euro looks improved. But of all the things that we want Brandin Podziemski to be, a solid passer, a guy who runs the second unit and knocking down 3 balls, he has not done that pretty much at all to kick off this season, especially in that 3rd game. He looked abysmal, and Steve Kerr and Brandin Podziemski, Steve's been a really big fan of his for a really long time. I know that's a major point of discussion and frustration for a lot of you guys that watch these videos is why do we continue to play Podziemski when he plays so poorly? Well, it's the understanding that having Podziemski in the game allows us to do a lot of things, but in order for that to happen, he has to play well. And when he hasn't played well, you expect him to be pulled from the game, and that hasn't been the case. We've stuck with him through thick and thin over the last couple of seasons, even when it hasn't looked that great. I understand the frustration, but I do believe that there is a much better version of Brandin Podziemski that we will see this season. I expect him to bounce back, and I expect this team to be in a very good place once he starts playing better. I understand right now, in the time being, it's a frustration because he's not playing well. The first 2 games, he wasn't terrible, right? Let's not overreact about the first 2 games. A Lakers win and a Nuggets win. He didn't do a whole lot. It wasn't flashy, right? You didn't see any crazy impressive moments from Podziemski, but he handled the game well. He played his role, drew a couple charges, hit a couple threes. In that 3rd game, no Al Horford, so other guys are forced to step up. And yeah, Podziemski looked poor. He did not look like the guy we wanted him to be, but I have a lot of confidence that he'll bounce back and be that player that we wanted him to be. Again, let's remind ourselves to not overreact. It is the 3rd game of the season. We have a lot of time to improve and develop, figure out rotations on a team where we have a lot of guards, which we'll get to in a moment. Turnovers. This has been something that this Warriors team has struggled with over the last decades. Even over the championship seasons, this was a team that turned over the ball a lot because of this pace and style that they play basketball. But those teams were so talented and had so much camaraderie that we were able to get over that hump of turnovers because we canceled it out because of how talented that team was and how many threes we made. Now, on nights where we don't play that well, those turnovers are massive. 25 turnovers 2 nights ago to lose to Portland, and that was the main reason we lost the game. You can't win a game if you give the other team more opportunities to score. It just becomes a math game at that point. When we're turning the ball, we're getting steals, we're causing turnovers, but we're turning it over too much, and it's causing a lot of issues. Again, this has been a Warriors issue for decades, but specifically over the last 3 years, it's something we've really, really struggled with. We got to find a way to play at the pace that we want to without the turnovers. Number 3, the depth of this team is great. I love the fact that we have a lot of guys that we can have confidence in coming off the bench. We have too many guards on this team. And that's without Seth Curry, DeAnthony Melton. Those guys are still coming to join this team at some point. DeAnthony Melton coming off the injury, hopefully soon. And then Seth Curry mid-November-ish, hopefully. But the issue is even the guys that are borderline 3s or 4s, right? I called Guy Santos a 2 in the last video, and I got called out for it in the comments. If that was you, shout out you. I get that Guy Santos is a 3 and a 4 at times. He does not play that way. He's not bullying in the post, being able to play very strong defensively against those 3 and 4s. That's just not his role. So even when him or a Moses Moody or a Gary Payton, guys that can play the 3 and 4 sometimes, we're so undersized that we're going to lose the rebounding battle every single time, and then the rotations become a major issue because we don't have a pure point guard in the game. As much as Podziemski and Pat Spencer want to be that guy, they're not talented enough right now to be able to run that second unit. And then we run into a team like the Portland Trail Blazers who have so many good guards. They're fast, they're scrappy, they play aggressively defensively, and they're young, right? That Portland team is young, scrappy, and at this point with losing their coach, they have absolutely nothing to lose. I was not surprised by the loss at all. That felt like a trap game from the very beginning. We said it in the pregame, it ended up happening, so we weren't too surprised of it. Again, we don't want to overreact too much because we just saw this team win 2 games against solid teams. But on the second night of a back-to-back, we are going to struggle just because of the age of this team. And then when you bring in the younger guys, they're not talented enough to compete with the guys on the other teams in the Western Conference. Too much guard play is going to hurt us this season. Back-to-backs, age is an issue. I'm going to make a whole video on back-to-backs and how ridiculous it is that the Warriors get this many throughout the season, but it's pretty simple. We play a game on one night. We have to fly to another city and play a game on another night. We have guys on this team that are 34, 35, 36, 39, close to in their 40s that are getting heavy minutes. Those guys are not going to be able to hold up or even play in those games. We look tired. That is going to be a major issue for us all season. Rotations are dysfunctional. This was the biggest point of emphasis in the comment section over the last video. Steve Kerr doesn't know what he's doing. Steve Kerr puts these rotations out there. Oh, and then we don't have any bigs. Guess what? That's not all on Steve Kerr, okay? We have an entire unit of coaches who are put together to put the rotations together, figure out how to make it work during the games, okay? Steve Kerr credits the guys below him, Terry Stotts and many other coaches on his roster and staff for putting these rotations together, right? The other night when we ended up playing Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and somebody else, can't remember, and Al Horford, right? That bigger unit. That worked fantastically, and he actually credited Terry Stotts and another assistant coordinator for that decision. So you could look at that and say, hey, wow, Steve Kerr's literally crediting the other guys on his team. He's not doing anything for this. That's not his decision, right? Why do we even keep him around? Steve Kerr is a 4-time champion as a head coach. He took a team in 2022 that had no right winning the championship, found a way to work that rotation, work that roster to have the perfect balance. That was a small guard lineup, folks. As much as you want to try to forget that, try to imagine like that never happened. We won 22 playing with smaller units. Yes, we had more talent with Jordan Poole, right? Kevon Looney started a lot in that finals too, so maybe it's not as much of a small ball lineup. Andrew Wiggins played at the 3. He was more consistent than maybe some of the other guys. But I believe in Steve Kerr, and those rotation issues aren't always on him. Yes, overplaying Brandin Podziemski sometimes is a little bit of an issue. I will agree with you there. But we're forced to get put into this situation. Everyone's saying we have too many guards, right? We're playing too many guards. Who else do you want in the game? When Quinten Post and Trayce Jackson-Davis are in, those are our only backup center options, and they're not good enough right now. Quinten Post is great in streaky moments, but he's not a starting center in this league yet. Same with Trayce Jackson-Davis, right? He missed a layup point blank the other night. There are things that he just can't do defensively. So while I believe in those guys, and I understand the expectation is they need to come in and play heavy minutes, we're running into an issue right now when we don't have Al Horford. Draymond is forced to play a lot of 5. We have to run those small ball units, guys. That's the only thing that our roster allows. If you look at this roster, right? Look at our starters. Jimmy, Dre, Kuminga, Steph, and then Quinten Post. And then you go down below. After Trayce Jackson-Davis, Guy Santos, Buddy Hield, Gary Payton, Moses Moody, Pat Spencer, Brandin Podziemski, Will Richard. Guess the other 2 guys that aren't here. DeAnthony Melton and Seth Curry. That's already 7 guards off our bench, and we're adding 2 more that we have to find a way to put into the rotation. Trayce Jackson-Davis and Quinten Post, when those are your only two options for guys to play at the 4 and 5 as backups, you're going to have issues. Even with adding Al Horford on this team, and that's credit to Al. He makes such a difference for this roster. And when we have him, we're going to win a lot of games. When we don't have him on the second night of a back-to-back, we're going to struggle. That's why it's going to be important just to find a way to be a top 6 seed in the West, be fully healthy, and we'll win when the time comes. Horford fits perfectly. Sorry, that's positives. Go back to Kern's Earns real quick. Rotations are dysfunctional and the West is loaded. That's a given. The West is so stacked this year. Every game's going to count in the West. We have to find a way to win those games. We have to. All right, let's get to some positives. Hey, let's put a smile on our face. Guys, we're 2-1, okay? We said we wanted to have a good start to the year. We had a good start to the year. Yes, it sucks to lose to the Portland Trailblazers in Portland, but let's not go throw away everything that happened 2 nights before, okay, or the night before. We go at home in the home opener playing against Denver, and we beat the team with the best roster in the league. This team, when Al Horford is playing, is one of the best units in the league, and we will win 50 games with that roster. But we're going to struggle when Al Horford can't play and when we're forced to run small guard lineups. Steph and Jimmy look like a top duo. Steph and Jimmy look young. They look healthy. They look ready to go. Kuminga's taking the leap. He's done everything we've asked of him. 3-point shooting is better. Decision-making is better. Defense is better. Rebounding is better. IQ and hustle plays are better. Kuminga looks excellent. Free throw percentage. That's something that we haven't always been great of as a team over the last many years. We look great so far. Everyone's knocking down their shots from the stripe, which you love to see. Help is coming. I know it's just in the form of DeAnthony Melton and Seth Curry, but once DeAnthony Melton comes to this team, a lot of those minutes, the Pat Spencer minutes, the Guy Santos minutes, the who's the other player I'm thinking of? Pat Spencer, Guy Santos, Podziemski minutes, those will get cut down, right? All those guards that you are watching, even Will Richard, you're like, this guy's a little bit too young. DeAnthony Melton will help out this team a lot because he's going to be the starting 2 unless we choose to start with that Steph, Jimmy, Kuminga, Dre, Horford, which could be a potential because they looked good when they were playing in that position. Horford looks amazing. When he plays on this team, we're going to win a heck of a lot of games. Al Horford looks like a fantastic fit. Shooting the 3-ball well, he looks youthful. I know we just talked about how much of an age is an issue, but he looks young. He had a couple of impressive defensive, or a couple blocks throughout the first games of the season. And guess what? Everybody take a breath. It was opening week, okay? We won 2 out of our first 3 games. We're 2-1. We're 3rd in the Western Conference. We have 2 upcoming home games, right? Al Horford just came out. He's not going to play the first one against the Grizzlies. We match up really well with the small ball Grizzlies. We'll find a way to win that game, okay? And then in Tuesday night, Los Angeles Clippers coming into town. We'll be 3-1 at that point because I'm confident we'll win tomorrow night. We got a chance to be 4-1, maybe atop at the Western Conference, right? We got a tough schedule to finish out October and in November, but this team has a massive opportunity this season to do something really special. But I promise you right now, these games, these frustration moments are going to happen because we are an old roster. Okay, it's just going to happen. We're going to have nights where we play these young teams, Portland, Utah, Charlotte, teams that aren't very talented, but teams that are younger than us, they're scrappier than us, they have absolutely nothing to lose. Those teams are not going to be competing for a championship, so they're going to be playing hard every single night because when you play the Warriors get the best from every team in the league. I'm very confident in this team, even though we lost a tough one to Portland. Apologies for the coughing, folks. It's Midwest in the fall. Let me tell you, allergies are in full swing. I'm very confident in this team. I feel very positive about the positives. Obviously, that makes sense. But I think that the position that we are in and the health and those types of things are a bigger issue than Steve Kerr in the rotations. Those rotational issues aren't an issue when Al Horford is in the game. If they become an issue, we'll have that conversation when we cross that bridge, right? But for right now, I feel very good about where this team is at, and I'm confident that we are going to find a way to win a lot of games this year and be a team competing for a championship. Steve Kerr, rotations, you can bash on him as much as you want. I'm a believer in him. I'm a believer in the way that he coaches this team. There are going to be frustration moments for sure, but I'm not going to be upset at the coach that's got us 4 championships. I know we've had Steph. I know we've had KD. I know we've had Clay, right? We've had fantastic teams, but a lot of that doesn't happen without Steve Kerr meshing well with all those guys and ensuring that we find a way to win a lot of games with the guys on the bench as well. Steve Kerr is not a perfect coach, not a perfect human, but he does a pretty good job coaching basketball alongside the rest of this staff, and I'm confident we'll get those other rotations figured out as the season moves on. We're just 3 games into Warriors basketball, folks. I'm having a blast. Even on the nights we lose, I am having a blast. Make sure to leave a comment, hit the like button, do whatever you want to, and hit that subscribe button as well. I've been Houston Bo. You guys have been the fans. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.